These are the type of stories that truly scare me so much. Just wait till the ending of this. So this guy says that when he was very, very young, he had a best friend named Raul. He said that it was a privilege to be Raul's best friend because unlike his home life, Raul's home life was really amazing. Raul had two parents who loved him so much and gave him attention. He even remembers Raul didn't have to share his bedroom and had it all decorated with things that he loved. He lived in this really big house and had all the toys that just kids would dream of. He even had the newest and most modern video game setup. So of course, when Raul asked him to stay the night, he was happy too. And just like he expected, he had the time of his life in that sleepover. And it wasn't just like the toys and having fun with Raul, but even Raul's parents treated him like he was a part of the family. He remembers eating sweets and they even ordered pizza, which was really rare in his own household. He remembers even little details like when they were going to watch movies. They would let him choose the movie that the entire family was going to watch. He says that they would watch the movie and then they would go play video games. They would have snacks until they eventually would go to bed. However, not everything was perfect. There was just something about when nighttime came that was not good. He realized that something was not right the first night he spent the night in that house, and he was tossing and turning. He explains that what he started to hear was almost like if somebody was knocking on the bedroom window. He thought to himself that maybe it was a branch of a tree that was making that kind of sound. So he didn't even bother opening his eyes to look outside that window. However, a few moments later, he heard that tapping on the window again. He did pretend to be asleep while somebody was tapping on that window, but he admits that that really scared him, not knowing who was on the other side. He ended up falling asleep until it was morning time, and then he didn't tell anybody anything because he forgot, since he was dreading going back home in the morning. So a week passed, and it was the weekend again, and Raul again asked him if he wanted to spend the night, and he was so excited that he said yes and completely forgot about the window incident. However, they had fun. They went to bed. He couldn't fall asleep, and somebody was tapping on that window again. However, this time after knocking or tapping on that window and him pretending to be asleep, he heard something different. After what he heard was somebody attempting to open that window. And he says that they were being successful because he could hear that window opening. He literally stood up, looked at the window, and he saw when a hand pulled back and hit. He said that the hand was long with his fingers all weird, and that to him it was like a demon hand or something. He woke up Raul, who also looked and saw that the window was open, and they ran to the parents' bedroom and woke them up. The parents were obviously very alarmed, and they didn't see anything. The window wasn't even open. The parents also explained to him that they had an alarm system. They walked him to the alarm system and even went as far as giving him the code because they wanted him to feel comfortable, and if anything was wrong, or if he ever needed to come over and they weren't home, he could put in that alarm code and come inside. And of course that did calm him down, and him and Raul went back to the bedroom and they went to bed. And of course with time he completely forgot about that incident, and he continued to go over to Raul's house. However, he does admit that every time in the night he would hear something. If it wasn't a tap on the window, it was something completely different. Unfortunately, he says that the sounds coming from the yard or from the window weren't even the worst of it. There was one night he really needed to go to the restroom. As he's going to the restroom, he could see the front yard of the house through this big window, and he swears that he sees a really tall, bald man just staring into the house. He said the man didn't have like any hair in his face, like it was no eyebrows, just his eyes, his lips, like he was very pale. So when he saw him the first time, it was on a Thursday. The following day, he sees him again, but this time he is a little bit closer to the house. By the time Saturday came, he was right next to the window of that house. He did say that he thought to himself like, why am I seeing this ghost? I cannot bring it up. If I continue to bring this up to the family, they're going to stop inviting me over, and they're not going to let me hang out with Raul anymore. However, there was one last occasion where he saw this bald man. He woke up because he was really thirsty, and he was going to go to the kitchen and get a glass of water. He remembers that his grandmother told him about this like myth, where if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're really thirsty, it's because someone has been observing you. Kate didn't need to hear that within this story. I'm a thirsty ass just at 3 in the morning. Anyway, he gets up. He starts walking towards the kitchen. At this point, he knew this house almost like if it was his own, so he was just going to go and get a glass of water and go back to bed. However, when he walked out of Raul's room and about to head towards the kitchen, something that was in the living room walking into the kitchen was surprised to see him. And unfortunately, he recognized what that was. The figure that he had been seeing outside was now inside of the house. The bald man just stayed very still, and he said that he just walked backwards, went into Raul's room and closed that door. And obviously he didn't tell the family anything, but he knew that this was out of control and very much out of his hands. The things that he was seeing were just getting worse and worse. And unfortunately, he would refuse to spend the night at Raul's house after that. He said that in the beginning, when Raul would invite him over and he would say no, that maybe he didn't give it that much importance. But eventually Ro would invite somebody else and he started having new friends, and him and Raul just weren't friends anymore. Time passes, and he says that when they were 25 years old, he ended up bumping into Raul again. They were so happy to see each other that they ended up grabbing a coffee and just sat down and started talking. He tells Raul that all of his fond memories were at his house and that he was so grateful that they were friends even if it was for a short amount of time. And he also explained to Raul why he stopped coming over, because of that ghost that only he would see every night. That is when Raul told him something to calm him down, but it was the complete opposite that definitely did not calm him down. Raul told him the following. Yeah, there was something there at that house that they discovered it a year after he stopped coming over to Raul's house. It was definitely not a ghost, but it was terrifying. Raul said that even his parents were like, oh my gosh, the kid was right this entire time and we had no idea. A family member of Raul's father knew that house very well. This family member only lived several streets away from them. This family member had severe mental issues and was supposed to be watched and in his own house at all times because he was dangerous. However, he had found a way to escape that house every night without being caught. And every night that he would escape, he would head over to Raul's house. At first, only standing outside the house and then eventually figuring out the alarm system's code and getting inside of that house. They even figured out that the way he got that code was when they had given it to him that one night that he was scared. They actually found him one night because the family was going to go on vacation, but the dad forgot something at home. When the dad walked into the house, he found him inside, and this family member attacked the dad. The family member ended up running out of that house, but eventually was caught by the police. He was taken but not to jail because, again, he had very severe mental health issues, and after all this, they found out that every night that he would escape his house, he had attacked a lot of people, ending their lives. Raul also told him that after that, he was never able to sleep comfortably in his room. Knowing that the guy was so close, he had opened his window. He had done all of these things until this family member did end up passing away 4 years after that incident. Even after his passing, they were to find people that he had ended and they never knew. So yeah, this is show he found out that he was never seeing a ghost. He was seeing that family member with severe mental issues, and he survived. This is why this scares me so much, because I feel like you should be more scared of the living than the dead.